Hello everyone, my name is Trevor, I go by TheMrTrails, welcome to the channel. Every once in a while we have to go through this sort of thing. There was a cheater on the leaderboards over the weekend, and in that time they have already been removed due to them being confirmed as a cheater, and the battle isn't even necessarily between us and the cheaters anymore, it's more like the battle between veteran players and newer players thinking that this could be possible. And each time we go through one of these posts, there will be someone saying, how do we know they're cheating? Somebody will give them an answer to the question, and then somebody will say, well, we don't exactly know what build is being used, so can you really say it's cheating? And the fact is, yes, we can say 100%, even if we didn't have dev verification on this, we knew it was cheating. Before they even really did dev verification, we were telling devs back 2 years ago that, yes, these people are cheating. We know this time is completely mathematically impossible. You need to remove these times or find some way to actually confirm that it is cheating. There is no amount of, oh, this could be just some really good build that nobody knows about that will make this not cheating. There is also no amount of, they just got lucky crits that would make this particular run possible, because you literally need 100% crit chance for this run to be possible. So let's not only go over the ideal run where I would freeze the behemoth AI and just be able to wail on the behemoth at will, but let's also go with the math behind this. I have an Excel sheet open, I have the damage values at each stage of the fight that you could reasonably achieve, and I have a probability calculation that would show you just how impossible this run would be if it were a legitimate time. Consider dropping a like for me and subscribing to the channel if you have not done so already. So let's go over what build I was using for this testing. We have 6 Adrenaline, 6 Catalyst, 6 Cunning, 6 Predator, 6 Pulse, and 3 Endurance. But for the calculations, I actually used +3 Overpower and actually gave it 100% uptime, just to show you how much more impossible this run would be. So with freezing the Behemoth AI, being able to hit wherever I've wanted to, and making sure that my Revenant is hitting as much as possible, then I was only able to achieve an end time of 107, as with a Behemoth completely frozen and at my mercy. This run isn't 100% ideal because you could hit Stormclaw with all of the tendrils of Revenant, but with just how it stands with its AI frozen, I couldn't do that. But even with that, there is no dodging required in this run. The best time currently on the leaderboards is a 117, which is actually pretty impressive that you only lose about 10 seconds with having the Behemoth AI turned on. The 107 I got on the test server was with 3 part breaks, which I'm assuming is what you would get on the live server as well. The main point here is you would only be able to achieve roughly a 107. You could probably get like a 104 based on if you got really good luck with crits, but probably not going to be anywhere under a minute with that. I then did a run where I multiplied my damage by 1.3 times, and I still only got a 56-second time. And again, this won't be some magical build that we don't know about yet. If there was a build that was capable of making the axe this much better than the other weapons, right? Why wouldn't we see the other weapons improve from this magic build as well? But if a build like that did exist, we would be using it, believe me. We would be using it, even if it was just a bug, there would be plenty of people using and abusing it. So now that we've seen the sort of in-game reason why this is completely impossible, let's go into the math behind it. So the damage calculation in the game of Dauntless goes as follows. You have the base damage of the attack plus whatever additions to the base damage might be, like the Hellion unique effect, multiplied by the attack type multiplier, which is not really applicable to core damage, but is applicable to part, stagger, and wound damage. You multiply these by the crit multiplier. If you do get a crit, you multiply the raw damage multiplier, which is any damage increases, like Predator, Berserker, things like that. Then multiply it by the power multiplier, which is going to be a constant based on what behemoth you are fighting, what its power rating is versus your power rating. There's a whole calculation for weapon power as well, but we won't get into that for the sake of this video. Because we know the power multiplier of Dauntless Trials with a beneficial weapon element is going to be 1.0534. And to make calculating things easier, we're just going to assume a crit happens in the actual damage calculation. The raw damage will fluctuate slightly, and then the base damage is going to be based on whatever attack we do. So all we really have to figure out for this calculation is base times crit mod times raw damage times the power mult, which the power mult and crit mod would be constants, so we need to figure out what our raw damage is going to be at each stage in the fight and what base damage is going to be applied to what attack. So for our raw damage, we're going to have 27% from Catalyst, 33% from Adrenaline, 35% from Predator, and 20% from Overpower. And to simplify things here, I decided to not calculate things for the Karabakh unique effect, but instead do a Riftstalker type unique effect where I would give it a 30% constant damage uptime. And the 20% from +3 Overpower is also going to be constant just to make things a little bit easier. So our raw damage multiplier is going to start out at 2.45 and then increase with determination. So we are typically going to jump into a fight, use our Revenant right away, and then start hitting the behemoth. We also use our lantern at the start of the fight, and we will be able to use it every 10 seconds. Then we go through our first string of combos. Light, light, heavy, heavy is the ideal combo for axe, and we're going to be using all charge levels right here. The attack pattern used here is you are going to fully charge your axe swings for this first level, and once you are waiting on the cooldown from your activation of Grim Onslaught, you are going to be charging your swings to level 2 instead of going full on level 3 charges. This was recently investigated by Sajemsum that you want to do an average of 2 charges, whether that be a 3+1 or a 2+2. But in a situation like at the start of the fight where you just need to charge the meter, then you can fully charge all your swings. And then we have our Grim Onslaught, which will level up our axe here. Once we get the Grim Onslaught and Determination level up, we will use Revenant again because it will be available. And then we will do our combos until we are able to use the Grim Onslaught again. Once we use the Grim Onslaught here and level up to level 2 Determination, we snap out of our Revenant and begin healing. So we do a combo chain until we hit our third Revenant, which will be right here. And then we continue combos until we finish off the behemoth. And don't forget we have the lantern damage, which would be activating every 10 seconds. So I went and timed out this stuff and saw that we would get 6 lantern hold activations, and then all of this here. Stormclaw Dauntless Trials have approximately 145,000 health, so we have done over 145,000 damage at the 42-second mark here. It actually is a pretty interesting coincidence that it does take 42 seconds exactly, which was the time on the leaderboard, and this is with 100% crit chance. This is actually 52 seconds plus 2 part breaks, by the way. But this would be just about the bare minimum number of attacks you would need to actually kill the Dauntless Trial Stormclaw. And again, this would be with 100% crit chance. But of course, our attacks don't have a 100% crit chance, they have a 12% crit chance because we have the 2% from the Slayer path and we have Cunning on. So we go through and assign each hit a 12% crit chance, but because we have Pulse on, we actually will get a 100% crit chance for certain attacks. Revenant doesn't actually count toward our hits for the Pulse effect, but it can consume the crit when it is ready. So all of our Revenant tendrils have a 12% chance to crit, and then our next 4 attacks have a 12% chance to crit, and then our 5th attack will have a 100% chance to crit. And our next 4 attacks would have a 12% chance to crit, and then we would use Revenant again, which we have the 5th hit here would be a 100% crit chance. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 100% crit chance here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We actually match it up with the Onslaught here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on our Revenant here. And then we actually kill the behemoth before we get a pulse stack again. And since we have a 12% chance to crit for most of our hits here, then we have to figure out what is the odds that we actually get all of these crits. Well, we just take whatever number of hits have a 12% crit chance and then multiply 0.12 that many times on itself. This would give us the overall odds of this string of events occurring at this probability. And in total, we would have 36 hits that would need to crit with this 12% crit chance, which means the odds of this 42-second time happening with a completely legit build and just getting lucky from crits would be 7.08 times 10 to the negative 34. You guys might remember the whole Dream Minecraft cheating saga where he had the odds of 1 in 7.5 trillion, which was the meme number, that the string of speedruns that he put together were completely legitimate without tampering. Imagine those odds, but infinitely less likely. This is way less likely to happen than what Dream's cheating speedrun did. The probability of this particular axe speedrun being legitimate is so close to 0 that it might as well be 0. I'm pretty sure this probability is to such a degree that something this unlikely has never happened in human history ever. So yeah, we can pretty confidently say that any axe time that would be even remotely this good would be a cheated time. But all of this specifically pertains to using axe on this Stormclaw trial with this particular build. It doesn't mean that a 42-second time is completely impossible even on the Stormclaw trial. The top time is actually very close to that. What this is trying to say here is this is how bad Axe specifically is. Even if you give it the best possible scenario with 100% crit chance, it is still just barely better than any of the other weapons. Luck to this degree would only be necessary for Axe because the other weapons are much better. While yes, Axe can have some of the highest damage numbers in the game, it's piss poor when it comes to damage per second, which is what matters in a trial situation. It only gets to remotely on the same level as all the other weapons at level 4 determination, which, you can see here, we don't actually even do in a fight this short. We would actually end up killing the behemoth just before level 3 of determination. But if you were wondering why we always say that an Axe time on the top of the Dauntless Trial leaderboards is a cheated run, this is basically the reason. It is so unlikely that it would never happen in human history, and that's if everybody in the entire existence of humanity were to play Dauntless and do this Dauntless Trial with this setup. So send this to your friend who's being stupid and trying to say that that Axe time was possibly legit, because it wasn't, and the devs already confirmed that it was cheated anyway. But this is how we knew people were cheating before the devs actually had a tool that would let them see if people were cheating. We would just do the math and say, hey, this is mathematically impossible, how are you not deleting this time from the leaderboard? But hopefully this gave you some nice insight, and if you found this video helpful in any way, shape, or form, consider dropping a like on the video. And if you have not done so already, consider subscribing to the channel. Here I post Dauntless content a lot, and I have been Trevor, I go by the Mr. Trails, and I will catch you guys next time.